that second wife of yours, for example, can stay there till the day she dies, and then all your children would be automatically remaindermen. And this is created by homestead law in this particular property, right? That's all you need to know. There's a 30% interest if it's not homestead, but we're not covering law, just what we need for the state exam. So that is freehold estates. Fee simple, life estates. We'll talk about the concurrent ones now after we go over non-freehold. Non-freehold, again, is a transfer of possession of the property. First, you have an estate for years. That's how you're going to see it on the state exam. They're not going to give you tenancy for years. That's going to be a dead giveaway, right? They like to use the more complicated verbiage. An estate for years is a fancy word for a written lease agreement. That's all it is. From X date to X date. 1 year, 2 years, whatever it is. We're transferring possession in a written document known as a lease for this amount of time. Okay? That amount of time expires, it could go straight to a tenancy at sufferance. It's a holdover. You don't have permission to be there. But typically it can turn into a tenancy at will, right? That's what I've done with tenants in the past. Sign a lease agreement expires, don't go back and tell them, hey, let's re-sign, let's re-execute a lease. Just continue to pick up the rents every month. I know they're there. We had a begin date at one point. We don't have a fixed termination date. It's a month to month, right? And that's known as a tenancy at will. If I ever wanted to terminate that, I would have to give 15 day notice if I was collecting the rents on a monthly basis, or it would be a 7-day notice if I was collecting the rent on a weekly basis. Okay? Now let's say I give them 15-day notice and tell them I need the property back, I'm gonna move my cousin in, right? But on the 16th day they tell me, we haven't been able to find anything, sorry, we can't leave. There's another tenancy at sufferance. They're there, you don't want them there. That's all tenancy at sufferance is. Tenant stays in possession of the property beyond the ending date and without the landlord's consent. So tenancy at will, there was consent. I was picking up the rent, we have a month to month. I didn't bring back up, let's renew the lease. But I did tell them to move at a certain point because I wanted the property back for somebody else. And they continued to stay in possession of it. It would be considered a tenancy at sufferance. A holdover. That's those three right there, non-freehold, transfers of possession only. Any questions on those?
Tenant holdovers is when you give them permission to stay there?
No. Holdover, they're there, you don't want them there.
Do you have a sample questions for those?
In particular, I can make one up for you. So for example, lease expires, tenant stays in possession. This is on the state exam, something like that, right? So it doesn't say that the landlords went and picked up the rent or the landlord was even okay with them still being there. Lease expired, they're there, nothing's been agreed upon.
That's a sufferance.
That's a sufferance. Okay? Now if it tells you landlord's okay with it, he's picking up the rents, it's at will. So we had a begin date, no fixed termination date, at will. Sufferance, they're there, they're not supposed to be there, there's no permission to be there. And they stayed for years, again, it's just a lease agreement while it's active within that time frame that was agreed upon. Any questions on these? All right, so sole and concurrent, fee simple ownership, right? Freehold or ownership interests. Again, instrumentality, severed ownership. Some students tell me, but when I see instrumentality, I think of several. Thinking it the wrong way. It's due to the fact that it's sole ownership. Really, the verbiage comes from the severed ownership. It's only one person, fee simple. Nothing complex, right? Through the will, it goes to the heirs. No will, intestate, right? Descent, it'll go now through the courts. Probate is what that situation is known as. And if there is no will, dies intestate, no heirs come forward, then it's escheat, right? Goes to the state. Now, in concurrent form ownership, we have 2 or more people owning a property, and there is an agreed upon on the deed of where the property is going to go upon death of an owner, etc. Tenancy by the entireties is automatically created. A husband and wife purchase property as husband and wife, there needs not be any verbiage in that deed. It is a tenancy by the entireties, purchased at the same time, same deed while they were married. Now let's talk about tenants in common. This is what form of ownership you want to have with somebody that you don't want to stay with the property if you die.